Here's the uncomfortable truth about medical screening after 70. More testing doesn't equal better health. In fact, unnecessary screenings are now causing serious harm to thousands of seniors every year through overdiagnosis, overtreatment, and procedure-related complications. Most doctors still follow screening guidelines written decades ago, before we understood how dramatically the risks change with age. A routine colonoscopy that makes perfect sense at 50 can be downright dangerous at 75. Meanwhile, simple tests that could prevent cognitive decline and dangerous falls are being ignored. Let me show you the difference. Today, I'm revealing the 3 tests you should seriously question and the 3 you should insist on getting, even if your doctor doesn't mention them. 1. The hidden dangers of routine colonoscopies after 70. Let's start with the first test that could put you at serious risk: routine colonoscopies after age 70. Margaret was the picture of health at 76. She walked 3 miles every morning, cooked her own meals, and never missed her bridge club meetings. Her doctor recommended a routine colonoscopy, something she'd done every 10 years without problems. This time was different. What started as a simple screening turned into a nightmare when the scope tore through her bowel wall. Margaret spent 2 weeks in the ICU fighting for her life, followed by months of recovery from emergency surgery to repair the damage. Most seniors believe colonoscopies are always necessary and safe, especially if they've had them before without issues. But what nobody tells you is that after age 70, your risk of serious complications jumps dramatically, while the benefits start dropping off a cliff. The colonoscopy that protected you at 50 or 60 can become genuinely dangerous at 75. Your body changes in ways that make this routine procedure much riskier than anyone admits. The numbers are shocking. Seniors face bowel perforation rates that climb steadily with age, reaching levels that would make you think twice about that appointment. Cardiovascular events from sedation become more common when your heart and blood vessels aren't as resilient as they once were. The bowel preparation alone sends thousands of seniors to emergency rooms every year with severe dehydration, dangerous electrolyte imbalances, and falls from rushing to the bathroom all night. Chronic conditions like diabetes, kidney problems, and common medications can raise your complication risk by several-fold compared to healthy younger patients. Your kidneys may not handle the massive fluid shifts well, and your heart might struggle with the stress of sedation and the procedure itself. Robert learned this the hard way at age 78. His routine screening found a small polyp that would have grown so slowly it never would have affected his health. But the biopsy site started bleeding heavily 2 days later. Emergency surgery to stop the bleeding led to a serious infection, 3 more operations, and 6 months of recovery that left him weaker and more frail than before. The polyp they removed was so slow growing that even leaving it alone, Robert would have lived his normal lifespan without any cancer symptoms. Most colorectal cancers found in seniors grow so slowly that treating them rarely extends life expectancy. When you find a slow-growing cancer in a 75-year-old, you're often discovering something that won't cause problems for 15 or 20 years. The 10-year survival benefit that makes colonoscopies worthwhile for younger people often doesn't apply when you're already in your 70s or 80s. Here's what most people miss. The goal of cancer screening is to find cancers early enough that treating them extends your life. But if you're unlikely to live long enough for a slow-growing cancer to become dangerous, the screening only creates risks without benefits. You end up facing the complications of procedures to treat cancers that never would have shortened your life. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force now recommends stopping routine colonoscopies after age 75 and personalizing the decision based on your overall health and life expectancy. Major medical organizations have finally caught up with the research, recognizing that screening decisions for older adults should be individualized rather than following blanket recommendations that ignore the realities of aging bodies. But here's what's encouraging. There are safer alternatives that can provide many of the same cancer detection benefits without putting you through a dangerous procedure. Simple stool tests done at home can catch most serious cancers while avoiding the risks of invasive screening. The second dangerous test might surprise you even more because it seems completely harmless and your doctor probably orders it routinely.
2. Why heart stress tests can trigger dangerous overtreatment. Heart stress tests fall into this exact same trap, turning healthy seniors into cardiac patients who never needed treatment in the first place. Picture this. You feel fine, your energy is good, you're walking regularly, but your doctor orders a stress test just to be safe. 6 weeks later, you're lying on a table, getting stents placed in your heart arteries, taking blood thinners that make you bruise from the slightest bump, and wondering how you went from healthy to cardiac patient overnight. This happens to thousands of seniors every year, not because they had heart problems, but because they had stress tests they didn't need. Stress tests seem completely harmless. You walk on a treadmill or get an injection, they take some pictures of your heart, and you're done in an hour. No cutting, no needles except for the IV, no recovery time. But what nobody tells you is that in healthy seniors without chest pain, shortness of breath, or other hard symptoms, these tests often create far more problems than they solve. They turn healthy people into patients who need procedures they never should have gotten. Studies show false alarms become more common as hearts age. Small, harmless changes can look like blockages on your scan. Your heart muscle has been working for 7 or 8 decades. It shows normal wear and tear that can trigger false alarms on sensitive tests designed for younger hearts. Your heart develops small areas of reduced blood flow as you age, just like your skin develops wrinkles and your joints get a little stiffer. Frank found this out the hard way. At 65, his stress test came back perfectly normal. His doctor was pleased, Frank felt reassured, and life went on. 7 years later, the same doctor ordered another stress test as part of Frank's annual physical. This time, the results looked abnormal. Same heart, same health, same lack of symptoms, but now the test suggested blocked arteries that needed immediate attention. Within 2 weeks, Frank was getting cardiac catheterization. The doctors found some minor narrowing in his arteries, nothing that was causing symptoms or limiting his daily activities. But since they were already there with the catheter, they decided to place 2 stents to prevent future problems. Frank started taking powerful blood thinners to keep the stents open. 3 months later, he ended up in the emergency room with internal bleeding that required a blood transfusion and 5 days in the hospital. One false alarm on a stress test can set off a cascade: catheterization, stents, blood thinners, and that cascade carries serious risks for seniors. Age-related changes in your heart muscle, electrical system, and blood vessels can trigger false alarms that make completely normal aging appear dangerous. Your heart rate might not climb as high during the test, or your blood pressure might spike more than expected, or small areas of your heart muscle might not light up perfectly on the scan. None of these findings mean you're having heart problems, but they can look scary enough to trigger more testing and procedures. Here's the concept that changes everything: overdiagnosis. This means finding problems that would never have caused symptoms or shortened your life. Your heart might have some minor blockages that are stable, not growing, and not limiting your ability to climb stairs, work in your garden, or play with your grandchildren. Treating these findings with stents and medications often creates more health problems than leaving them alone. Research shows many stent procedures done after abnormal stress tests in people without symptoms don't extend life or prevent heart attacks. They just create risks from the procedures themselves and the medications needed afterward. In absence of chest pain or shortness of breath, skip routine stress tests and focus on symptom-driven assessments as guidelines recommend. But the third dangerous test might shock you the most, because it's something many seniors are actually paying for out of their own pocket, believing it's the ultimate health protection.
3. The whole body scan trap that's bankrupting seniors. Whole body scans represent the most expensive trap in modern healthcare for seniors. After her scan turned up harmless spots, Sarah spent $30,000 and months of anxiety chasing phantom problems. The marketing materials showed happy seniors getting peace of mind from knowing exactly what was happening inside their bodies. Instead, Sarah got 2 years of medical anxiety that turned her from a healthy, active 73-year-old into a worried patient constantly seeking more medical opinions. Whole body scans sound like the ultimate health insurance. You lie down for 30 minutes, powerful machines take detailed pictures of every organ, and you walk out knowing if anything dangerous is hiding inside you. Marketing companies target seniors specifically, promising early detection that could save your life. But what nobody tells you is that these scans are actually a medical minefield for older adults, creating far more problems than they solve. The shocking truth involves something doctors call incidentalomas. These are findings that look scary on scans, but would never cause health problems or shorten your life. Tiny spots on liver, lung nodules, kidney cysts, all normal aging marks that look threatening on high-resolution scans. After 70 years of living, your body accumulates dozens of these benign changes that show up as abnormalities on sensitive imaging equipment. Seniors face a perfect storm when it comes to scan findings. Decades of minor injuries, old infections, normal wear and tear, and age-related changes create a landscape inside your body that looks alarming to radiologists trained to spot problems. Your bones might show old fractures that healed perfectly. Your arteries might have calcium deposits that aren't blocking blood flow. Your organs might have scars from surgeries or infections from years ago that appear as suspicious masses on scans. Most findings on these scans in healthy seniors turn out to be harmless, but they trigger expensive follow-ups. You go in feeling fine and come out with a list of findings that need follow-up. Suddenly, you're Googling medical terms, losing sleep, and viewing your body as a ticking time bomb. Every ache becomes potentially related to your scan findings. Every doctor visit becomes an opportunity to ask about those spots on your liver or nodules in your lungs. The psychological toll of scan results can transform healthy seniors into chronically anxious patients. The financial burden creates another layer of stress. Follow-up testing from scan findings can cost tens of thousands of dollars with no improvement in health outcomes. Insurance companies often refuse to cover the original scan since it wasn't medically necessary, leaving you responsible for the full cost. Then they may also refuse to cover some of the follow-up tests, especially if the original scan wasn't recommended by your doctor for specific symptoms. You probably think more information about your health is always better. But here's the critical realization that changes everything. More information isn't always better, especially when it leads to harmful interventions. Finding problems that would never hurt you only create opportunities for medical procedures that can actually harm you. Biopsies carry infection risks. Repeated scans expose you to radiation. Surgery to remove harmless findings can cause complications that are far more dangerous than leaving things alone. No major medical group recommends these routine body scans for healthy seniors because the harms outweigh any benefits. The American College of Physicians, the American Cancer Society, and other respected medical groups all warn against these scans. The fact that you have to pay out of pocket should be your first warning sign. Now, let me tell you about 3 tests that could actually save your life and keep you independent, starting with one simple screening that most doctors completely overlook despite its power to protect your brain and prevent dangerous falls. The life-saving hearing test most doctors ignore. That screening is a simple hearing test that takes just minutes, but could preserve your mental sharpness and prevent dangerous falls for years to come. Here's something that might shock you. Untreated hearing loss is now linked to faster cognitive decline, increased fall risk, and even dementia progression. While your doctor spends time ordering colonoscopies and stress tests that might harm you, they're completely missing one of the most important screenings for maintaining your independence after 70. But what nobody tells you is the hidden connection between your ears and your brain health. When your ears can't process sound clearly anymore, your brain starts working overtime to fill in the missing pieces. It's like trying to solve puzzles with loud static in your headphones. Over time, your brain wears out. Every conversation becomes a puzzle your mind has to solve. Every sound in your environment requires extra mental effort to understand. This constant strain exhausts the mental resources that should be used for memory, thinking, and staying mentally sharp. After hearing aids, Dorothy's memory and balance returned. She went from presumed dementia to independence. At 74, she started forgetting appointments, seemed confused during conversations, and withdrew from social activities she used to love. Her children were preparing for her cognitive decline when a routine visit to an audiologist revealed the real problem. Dorothy had significant hearing loss that made following conversations exhausting. Within weeks of getting properly fitted hearing aids, her sharp mind returned. She was back to managing her finances, hosting family dinners, and engaging in complex discussions about current events. Most people skip this next step and regret it later. The connection between hearing loss and dangerous falls affects your balance and spatial awareness in ways that catch seniors completely off guard. Your inner ear doesn't just process sound, it also helps your brain understand where your body is in space and maintain your balance. When hearing loss damages these delicate structures, you become 3 times more likely to experience falls that can break bones, cause brain injuries, or end your independence. A landmark trial found hearing intervention slowed cognitive decline by nearly 50% in high-risk seniors. This means that addressing hearing loss early might be one of the most powerful tools for protecting your mental function as you age. The seniors who get hearing help maintain better memory, clearer thinking, and stronger social connections than those who ignore their hearing problems. You won't find this next one in most health magazines, but hearing screening is remarkably simple and accessible. Ask your doctor for a hearing screening during routine visits. You can catch loss before isolation and falls set in. Most seniors can get basic hearing tests right in their doctor's office during regular appointments. Some tests can even be done at home using smartphone apps or simple online screenings. Unlike colonoscopies or stress tests, hearing evaluation carries no risks, requires no preparation, and gives you immediate results you can act on. The technology available today makes hearing correction more effective and less noticeable than ever before. Modern hearing aids are smaller, smarter, and more comfortable than the bulky devices your parents might have avoided. Many connect wirelessly to your phone, television, and other devices. Some are so small they're virtually invisible. Catching this early could mean the difference between staying mentally sharp and socially engaged versus struggling with isolation and cognitive decline. But sometimes what looks like memory problems or confusion has an even simpler cause that most doctors never think to check.
2. the vitamin deficiency that masquerades as dementia. A simple blood test can reveal whether vitamin B12 deficiency is behind symptoms that look exactly like dementia. Harold's probable dementia turned out to be B12 deficiency, reversible with simple injections. This happens to thousands of seniors every year who get devastating diagnoses when the real problem is something completely fixable. Vitamin B12 deficiency is incredibly common in seniors, but rarely tested, even though it can perfectly mimic serious neurological conditions that terrify families and change lives forever. But what nobody tells you is how B12 deficiency symptoms look exactly like the mental decline everyone fears most. Confusion that makes you forget familiar faces, memory loss that has you repeating the same questions, balance problems that make walking dangerous, depression that steals your joy and motivation. Doctors often dismiss these symptoms as normal aging when they're completely treatable with simple vitamin replacement. This story shows why seniors face unique vulnerability to B12 deficiency that younger people rarely experience. By age 70, stomach acid needed to free B12 from food drops by half, so many seniors can't absorb enough even on a good diet. The proteins in meat, fish, and dairy need strong stomach acid to release their B12 so your body can use it. When acid production drops, you can eat plenty of B12-rich foods, but still become deficient because your digestive system can't extract the vitamin properly. Medications make this problem much worse for millions of seniors. Proton pump inhibitors for heartburn reduce stomach acid even further. Metformin for diabetes directly interferes with B12 absorption in your intestines. Blood pressure medications, antidepressants, and even some antibiotics can block your body's ability to process this critical vitamin. If you take multiple medications, your risk jumps dramatically higher. Most people skip this next step and regret it later. Even normal B12 levels on standard blood tests might be too low for optimal brain function in older adults. The typical lab range was designed for younger people who absorb vitamins more efficiently. Research shows that seniors need higher B12 levels than standard tests suggest to maintain sharp thinking and steady balance. More sensitive testing can catch deficiencies that regular blood work misses completely. The connection between B12 deficiency and other serious conditions affects far more than just your memory. Severe deficiency causes nerve damage that starts in your hands and feet, creating numbness and tingling that can become permanent if not treated quickly. It triggers depression that doesn't respond to typical treatments because the underlying cause is nutritional, not psychological. It causes anemia that leaves you exhausted and weak. Hospital studies show that B12 deficient seniors have significantly higher frailty rates and worse functional status than those with adequate levels. Studies of hospitalized seniors found about 9% had outright B12 deficiency and 17% more had borderline levels, roughly 1 in 4. That means more than 1 in 4 seniors might benefit from B12 testing and treatment. Here's what changes everything. A simple blood test costing under $20 can identify a condition that, if left untreated, can cause irreversible nerve damage and cognitive decline that mimics dementia. The test requires no preparation, takes 2 minutes to draw blood, and gives you results that can literally save your independence and mental function. At your next visit, request a B12 blood test. Deficiency symptoms often look like dementia, but treatment can restore your health. But knowing what tests to request is only half the battle.
3. Your action plan. What to say at your next doctor visit. The key is knowing exactly what to say and how to say it during your appointment. Most seniors feel uncomfortable questioning medical recommendations because they don't want to appear ungrateful or challenging. Your doctor went to medical school, spent years in training, and has your best interests at heart. But here's what most people miss. Research shows that primary care physicians actually welcome informed questions and shared decision-making because it improves patient outcomes. Good doctors want you to be an active partner in your healthcare decisions, not a passive recipient who accepts every recommendation without question. Many seniors worry that asking questions will damage their relationship with their doctor or make them seem like difficult patients. But what nobody tells you is that the doctors who get defensive about reasonable questions might not be the right fit for your healthcare needs after 70. The physicians who respect your concerns and take time to explain risks and benefits are the ones who will help you age successfully. Let me give you specific language that works. When your doctor suggests a colonoscopy, stress test, or other screening we've discussed, try saying this: "I'd like to discuss the risks and benefits of this screening given my age and health status." This opens the door to a real conversation about whether the test makes sense for your individual situation. It shows you're informed and thinking carefully, not just refusing care. For requesting overlooked tests, be direct and specific about your concerns. If you're worried about hearing loss, say, "I'm concerned about hearing loss affecting my cognitive health. Can we do a hearing screening today?" This connects your request to legitimate health concerns rather than just asking for random tests. It shows you understand the connection between hearing and brain health that many doctors overlook. The most important question you can ask addresses life expectancy considerations without being morbid or uncomfortable. Based on my current health, how likely am I to benefit from this screening over the next 10 years? This question forces your doctor to think about whether you'll live long enough for the screening to make a difference. It's not about giving up on life. It's about focusing on healthcare that actually helps you. For B12 testing, connect your request to specific symptoms. "I've been having some memory and balance issues. Could we check my B12 and folate levels?" This approach works because it gives your doctor a medical reason to order the test. Most doctors will agree to check vitamin levels when you mention cognitive or balance concerns. But what most people miss is the importance of getting a second opinion for major procedures recommended after abnormal screening results. If your colonoscopy finds polyps that need surgery, if your stress test suggests you need cardiac catheterization, or if any scan finds something requiring biopsy or operation, ask for time to think and consider getting another doctor's opinion. Good physicians respect your choice for a second opinion on major procedures. Focus on 3 key priorities at your appointment: questioning colonoscopy necessity after 75, avoiding stress tests without symptoms, and requesting B12 testing for any memory or balance concerns. Having these specific points keeps you focused during the appointment and ensures you don't forget important questions when you're feeling rushed or nervous. This one tiny change separates seniors who stay healthy from those who become victims of medical overtreatment. Taking control of your screening decisions means becoming an active partner in your healthcare rather than a passive recipient of outdated guidelines. You have the right to understand why tests are recommended, what the risks and benefits are, and whether they make sense for your age and health status. The conversations you have at your next appointment could determine whether you spend your later years staying independent or dealing with complications from tests you never needed. Making informed decisions about your healthcare becomes your most powerful tool for healthy aging. The most dangerous phrase in medicine after 70 might just be routine screening, because there's nothing routine about the risks and benefits at your age. What works at 50 can harm you at 75. What seemed safe last decade might create serious problems today. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you questioned screening recommendations from your doctor? Have you requested tests they didn't mention? Share your experiences because other seniors need to hear these real stories. Take this information to your next appointment and start these important conversations. The goal isn't to avoid all medical care, but to focus on tests that truly protect your health and independence while avoiding those that create more problems than they solve.